So what I would like to do is, instead of most interviews when, you'll talk about everything and then you'll do a retrospect of, what would you have done differently over the whole day? Sure. I don't want to do that because I think it's important each step that you've gained more experience. If you could look back in retrospect now, let's go back to the college, let's just say high school, college time period.
All right.
What would you have changed? What classes would you have taken that you feel would have prepared you more for going into the workforce? Even though the workforce you did interns to begin, which is great. Yeah. A lot of people don't do that. It really does help a lot to see what you're about to get into. But what would you change, or what would you say to someone that may be in high school now, even though the times are different, what they could prepare for to keep them a step ahead of getting into doing an internship or getting into the workforce if they're lucky enough to get right into working?
So I would say that the first thing is, if you have something that you want to do, don't be deterred by little things or people telling you can't do something. I to this day, I've been making a lot of stuff. I just put out a board game. There's a lot of things where people are saying like, well, this is bad because of these things, or like, why did you even do that? So people will always tell you that you shouldn't do something, or that the stuff that you're doing isn't worthwhile, or, say negative things about anything that you do.
Yeah. And that never changes.
That's the point. Yeah.
It goes on through high school. It goes on through being a working man or woman, or just a working person. It never changes. It never changes. You only have control of yourself.
When you're top tier creator, right? If you're somebody that's like George R.R. Martin, right? You have Game of Thrones that's out, and people are just like, well, I can't believe that he did this in this book. And he is, arguably one of the best fantasy writers out there. And there's always going to be some nerds out there, myself included, right? That are
it's the most anticipated show. It's the what they were saying. I think it was the top grossing as far as like people viewing it on the night it comes out, right. Which is crazy.
Yeah. And there's always, and look, I'm also the first, even on the show, right? Like the show, I'm like, I wouldn't have done that, right? Even I'm one of those guys, right? So I would say that people are always going to do that, and it should never deter you from, going forward. It should never stop you from, looking forward to something that you want to do. And because you grow, you have to grow. Nobody started amazing. I read this book recently on mastery and how people sort of become masters in their field. So people like Leonardo da Vinci, right? When he started, he got an apprenticeship, and all he did was just draw all day. And so they would do things where they would take some chairs and they would put blankets over it, and then they would draw it, and the sun would hit it from different angles, so you'd see the shading on it, and it would be different. And he would draw it, and people would go, okay, my 4 hours are up. See you guys tomorrow. He'd be there all night, right?
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the key for, like, if you, the writer of this book, Robert, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but he wrote this book on mastery, and it starts out where you know nothing, basically, and mastery is this giant mountain that you have to climb, and to get there are different stages of that mountain, and at the bottom it looks the worst, because you know what mastery looks like, and you know that attaining it is so freaking difficult that it becomes like, do I really want to climb that mountain?
Did they also talk about this other thing that's coupled with it? Is that like that 10,000 hours? Like you put 10,000 hours into anything, you're pretty much going to master it, or no?
He talked about that a bit. It's interesting because there's another mastery model that the name of the guys that kind of denoted what it is, or girls, I don't know. They didn't really, I don't remember their names, but they had talked about like how there are different stages of what mastery is. The 10,000 hours thing, I think that they had talked about it a bit, but even the 10,000 hours, it's not really true, because although it is about repetition and doing it constantly, there's a point where you're defining the meta, and that's truly what a master is. And that 10,000 hours does not necessarily mean that you're going to be defining the meta. It means that you have put enough time in to get near what mastery could be, or at least beyond competency, right? So anyway,
that's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm pretty sure there's some stones out there that just look like crap that he was working on when he first started too.
I mean, and he may have had like a little bit of talent, right? There's this great Sarah Anderson comic. She does a lot of web comics. She's really funny. And she has one where this woman is like, your drawings are so great. I wish I had talent like you. And she's like, it's practice. And she's like, no, that's just, I think you have a God-given talent. She's like, it's practice. And she's
Yeah, I think I saw that running around on like LinkedIn and social media or something like that.
Yeah, I posted it on LinkedIn.
Oh, nice.
It's that is 100% true. She's right. It's practice. You just you do it over and over and over again, and eventually you'll get good at it. But you need to have the resilience and the understanding that people are going to say it's crap, or that you yourself will look at it and go, ugh, this is terrible. Ugh, how long is it going to take before I'm good? Right. And you have to push beyond that. So.
And that persistence too.
Yeah.
You got to have that persistence.
Yeah.